I'm Edward Warfield. I'm the publisher of Citybiz, and I'm honored today to interview Tony Julianelle, the CEO of Atlas Real Estate, and Vincent Deorio, who's the Vice President and Corporate Development. Welcome, Tony and Vincent.
Hey, thanks for having us, Edwin. We're excited to be here.
So, Tony, let's start with you. Can you provide an introduction to Atlas Real Estate, how many residential units you have under management, your footprint, the investor capital, all some of those benchmarks?
Yeah, you bet. I'm happy to. So Atlas is a Denver-based property management and brokerage company. We now operate in 5 markets. So we're in Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Idaho. We've been really excited about our expansion over the last couple of years. We manage somewhere around 5,000 doors of rental property. And I say somewhere around because I feel like that number changes, substantially every week or so. And we're excited about that growth too. And then we also operate a fairly robust brokerage business in each of those states. As far as investor capital, we serve a lot of different investors. So in our group of investors that we manage properties for, there are owners that have one single family rental that they're kind of a landlord by accident, if you will, up to several hundred doors. And then very recently, we entered into a joint venture with a new capital partner where we're going to deploy about $1 billion into single family for rent across those 5+ markets.
So prior to joining Atlas, your career included a stint at Wells Fargo. Can you tell us about your career and the decision to join Atlas?
Yeah, you bet. I started with the old Norwest Bank, which eventually bought Wells Fargo right out of college in the late 90s, and was really fortunate to be there during a period of explosive growth. I served in the residential mortgage business, starting out as a loan officer and a branch manager and an area manager, and ending my career there as a regional manager, managing a lot of the states that we're in today for Atlas, so kind of the mountain Midwest. And in 2018, I had the opportunity to make the move to a rapidly growing company like Atlas and take a lot of the skills I was fortunate to learn in my Wells days and apply them to a small organization that's on kind of a rocket growth trajectory. So it's been really fun to make that transition, and this is really fulfilling to spend the second half of my career here.
So Atlas's origins were originally as sort of a fix and flip company. And can you provide a brief history of the company and then some of the key milestones that transitioned the company?
Yeah, for sure. So my two business partners, Ryan and Jason, started Atlas as a fix and flip company and did several hundred fix and flips over about a year and a half during the foreclosure crisis back in 2010-ish. And you quickly realize in the fix and flip business that really 2 things are happening. Every time you sell a home, you're starting over, and there's no recurring revenue in that model. It's a challenging model in a lot of ways. You're taking on a lot of risk. The other piece of that is you've got a business partner in the U.S. government that takes a short-term capital gain every time you sell a property. And they're not a great partner because if you lose money, they don't pony anything up. So it became clear that this was a great business. It was profitable. We were good at it. But what would it look like to build something that was really sustainable over time? One of the things we talk about a lot at Atlas is that we want to be a 100-year company. And we want to have a company that someday, Vince's son and daughter are working here. And in fact, I've got an 8-year-old that's pretty sure she's going to be a property manager someday. So we love that. That's what we want to build. We want to make an impact across all the communities that we serve in a lasting way. And that transition kind of away from the fix and flip model, more to the buy and hold model, and then becoming a recurring revenue business where we're providing a service like property management just made a lot of sense for us.
So in April, Atlas announced a $1 billion joint venture with Divco West to acquire and renovate single-family rental homes. Can you tell us about the origins of that transaction and its impact on Atlas?
Yeah, for sure. So, we've been what's called a local operator or a fee-for-service provider in the single-family for rent space really since 2012. We helped some of the largest REITs in the country acquire their portfolios in different markets. And as we started to look at that a few years ago, we said, we're particularly good at this. We're particularly good at valuing properties, identifying them, purchasing them. We're really good at making them ready for a new resident and manage them over time. But really, we're kind of in this very small, narrow space where we're just doing the acquisition work. And we said, I think it's time for us to take all that expertise that we acquired over a decade of deploying money for others, and let's figure out how we can do that in partnership with an equity partner and be more of an owner operator instead of just an operator. And it was exciting to go to market with that idea. We talked to a lot of potential partners, and just the alignment and the cultural values that we share with Divco made it a really easy partnership for us. We're really fortunate that we get to work with them. They've been an amazing partner thus far, and we hope it's a long and lasting relationship for years to come.
And will that change the footprint, or will you still stay in the same markets?
We do anticipate further growth and expansion for our company. I'm not quite, I think, ready to announce that we're going to be going into the Kansas City market, but I guess I just did. And then we're looking at 4 or 5 additional markets. So, in fact, my conversation after this one is with the team that we're going to put in place in Kansas City. So it's exciting to look at where those opportunities are and what that growth is going to look like over the next 5 or 10 years.
So, Vincent, can you, as Vice President of Corporate Development for Atlas, what are your primary responsibilities?
Happy to answer that. So I really am overseeing all growth initiatives. So, my time has mostly been focused on our joint venture over the past 6 months, but kind of holistically over each business line, focusing on growth initiatives. So new market expansion, acquisitions, strategic partnerships for new products that we could layer on to our property management division. So kind of a broad overview of growth initiatives as we continue to expand into new markets and get more density in our existing markets.
And can you provide an overview of your career and the decision to join Atlas?
Yeah, so I started my career in single family in the downturn. Right out of school was buying homes at the courthouse steps. That's actually where I came across Atlas. I think around 2012. Ran across them. We were kind of swimming in the same pools of working with institutional partners. My career evolved from there into did some multifamily acquisitions and development, and then did some hospitality, some hotel development in San Francisco. That's what brought me to the Bay Area. I joined a prop tech company in the Bay Area. I drank the venture Kool-Aid when I moved to San Francisco. A great organization in the Bay Area, Mind Property Management. And I led growth for them. They were early stage when I joined, and I oversaw all of our M&A activity as we grew into new markets. So acquired 20 companies, approximately 8,000 units, and had a good run with them for about 4 years. And then made the decision mid to late last year to join Atlas. I had been in conversations with the company for years. We were friends, and one thing led to another, and I moved my family back to Denver. This is where I'm originally from, and I was excited to join an organization where we're relatively small company still, and we're not a venture-backed organization where it's kind of growth. I mean, we've grown a lot since I've been here, but I was excited for the opportunity to come on board and really have an impact on our growth and our culture, and it's been a fun ride so far.
And can you highlight some of your deals? I mean, if you want to drill a little deeper into the Divco West deal, you can, or tell us about some other deals that you've been involved in since coming on board.
We've acquired 2 property management firms. So we entered into Boise, Idaho, and Salt Lake City, Utah, through acquiring PM companies. So that was the highlights here on the property management side. Also was pretty integral in the joint venture with Divco West, and now we're in full deployment. So I'm working closely with the acquisitions team on finding inventory for our fund, and that's both built for rent product as well as existing inventory. And I think we just passed our 100 home mark, so that was a exciting milestone as we're marching towards our deployment.
And so is there any part of the Atlas story that either you, Vincent, or Tony, do you want to tell us that hasn't been told so far?
Yeah, I think, Edwin, the thing that motivates us and really inspires us to continue our expansion is what we call the Atlas virtuous cycle. And it's this idea that we want to help renters become homeowners. We want to help those homeowners eventually become investors, and that those investors are going to need more renters. And we're going to help those renters. You can see how this becomes this cycle that feeds itself, right? But also just brings good to the world. And we want to solve problems. We think business exists to solve problems. And one of the biggest problems that Americans face today is the ability to save, the ability to accumulate wealth over time. And we think real estate's the way to do that. So if we can help someone move from renting their first property to maybe moving in what we call a house hack, where they move into their first home and have a couple of roommates, and then a few years later that becomes a rental property and they're able to buy another home, and they do that 3 or 4 times and get into that cycle, all of a sudden they look back and they've accumulated a net worth, they've accumulated some passive income that might allow them to pursue passions and callings that they weren't able to pursue without that. So that really animates what we're doing. That's why we want to be in this business. It's part of why we love our partnership with Divco, because they look at that and say, yes, that's what we want to be about, and is making the world a better place, making the communities that we live in and that we serve more vibrant. So I think that's the biggest part of the Atlas story that I want to tell people. We're excited to be in real estate. It's an exciting time to be in real estate, but it is an opportunity to really make an impact in people's lives.
Well, Vincent and Tony, I really want to thank you for sharing your story, and we wish you the best of the luck as you move forward with your company. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Edwin. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.